he wished we dated. Who? My old friend. If the apple never happened, would we have dated? Just going to a steakhouse, getting potato skins, looking across the table at his grin, staring at his drink, feeling nervous, going slow, walking me to the car. He gets the chocolate cake, and we sit in the car and he taps the steering wheel. I buckle in, he turns the car on, then off, then on, then off. And I ask, what is he doing? He laughs, then smiles. He would have looked at me, I would smile, he would say, this isn't going to work out. I would unbuckle my seatbelt and say, hold on, I need something to smoke for this. He would light me a cigarette after taking a deep sigh, holding in the cake on the lap, and I would say, it's okay, my old friend. He would smile in relief, and I would continue, we aren't right together. You need freedom. It's weird. We had a nice meal, but it's just not right. We always have the basement. Any what if world, Jesse and I aren't together. We weren't meant to be. Our shared young life was our story. He could have date we could have wanted to date, but we would have never dated. And at the time he was dating around and I wasn't the girl that fit the boxes. And his story took him a different path. Mine took me mine, and our lives separated the summer of 2007. And then next chapter, chapter 4, staring at the mountain. The summer of 2007, I remember all too well. School year was one to remember. I went to Camp Dovetail after I got back from Florida. I ran into my friend Tyler at camp. Tyler and I went to camp prior to Tyler is Johnny's brother. Tyler and I met first at Camp Dovetail in the summer of 2004. We ran into each other at the Festival of the Bells in the same summer. He met Kim, the same Kim that was married in 2016. The same Kim that was married in 2016 to Zach. The same wedding I met Jacob at. The summer of 2004, Tyler and his friend Josh T walked up to Kim and I. Tyler had shaggy hair and Josh T had the hair flip happening. All the emo boys had the hair and the eyes and the tilted heads and the well-timed flip of the hair. And let me tell you, there was no one who flipped their hair more handsomely than a one Joshy Poo. That summer, I was falling in love with the skater boy vibe. Josh T became my screensaver and my latest obsession. He ran into all the movies, and shortly after, Josh and Kim were a thing. I wanted Josh T to be my boyfriend, and we talked nightly, but he wasn't interested in me. The boy who was interested in me was Johnny, and Johnny was Tyler's little brother, and I met Johnny at Tyler's house. I was friends with his sister Ashley. Ashley and I used to party together, and I was visiting her when I met Johnny. The summer of 2004, I met Johnny, and shortly after meeting, we would go to the colony. He sat with me one night and held my hand. This was after Johnny was doing the truffle shuffle. I had a crush on Josh T, his brother's Tyler's friend. When I met Johnny, everything changed. This is my away team that I talked about in the Complex J-Boy video. But now we are talking about the away team. And the away team was my favorite. I loved my away team. They were my homies for real. When I met Johnny, everything changed. Josh T was not interested in me, and I stopped liking him. And although we remained friends throughout high school and into college years, we had a falling out. He thought I did stuff with Jeff in his bed, my ex-husband, in 2010. Johnny was my first boyfriend that wasn't gay. He told me he loved me when we were 13 and I was 14, and we had webcam dates, and we would email my AOL account sending me videos like Best of You by Foo Fighters. The summer of 2004, I was going into high school and he was going into the 8th grade. We had our first date and it was fishing. We wore the same shirt and he helped me bait my hook. We sat at the marina where I used to swim, and later that night I broke up with him. He took it badly, and I don't think he ever forgave me. What an idiot I was. The following year, he went into every football game, and I was in color guard with Kim, and Tyler and his brother brought him to every game. Johnny moved on. He dated two girls on the color guard team. I went to homecoming with another boy named John S. We went to Camp Dovetail. We met at Camp Dovetail in 2002. He liked me and I wasn't interested, and when Johnny asked Megan to homecoming, I felt I needed a date. And later that night, John S. got handsy in the car, and it was the end of the night on the way of dropping him off, and I broke up with him. And later that night, I ran into him at later in life, I ran into him at a market. He worked with my mom as a taxi driver in 2009. Johnny and I stayed in touch on the internet, and Kim and I stopped being friends after homecoming in the 10th grade. She teased me all the time and I grew annoyed with it, and Tyler and she stayed together, and since we weren't friends anymore, I didn't see Johnny. I apologize to Kim. There's some things. I apologize to everyone. Anybody need an apology from me? I welcome it. I still talk to I still talked every day. The summer of 2006, we talked about losing our virginities together, and I promised him and he promised me, and we weren't together, but we were trying to find ways to be together. And November 2006 came, and I lost mine, and I told Johnny, and we remained friends, talking about music and life, and he was on and off with Megan. And the summer of 2007 came. Tyler and Kim weren't together any longer, and Tyler was dating best friends with Courtney, and Courtney and I met at the Colony in 2006. And she was a mutual friend of Jacob, and she was dating Jacob's friend for the first 3 years of high school, and now Courtney and Tyler were together. And after Camp Dovetail in 2007, Tyler invited us to his mom's house in Clarksville, and Johnny and Tyler moved there. That's how I used to tell stories. In the end of the summer in 2004, that was when I broke up with Johnny, and he moved 40 minutes away. And I showed up to the farm the summer of 2007. It was 3 years since the first summer together. This felt like one of those moments you never forget. The rush of seeing a smile directed at you, the smile coming from the first love you'll ever experience, and you get older and those moments lay tattooed on your skin. When I got out of Katie's car, I lifted my head to see Johnny was fresh showered, wearing a blue button down. He was a foot taller and much more grown, and we weren't 13 and 14. Now we were 17 and 16, and he had his birthday in May, making him 17. And that night we danced around the fire, and he made kebabs. We rode four-wheelers. The night grew cold and everyone was venturing off, and I had too much to drink, and the drinks were making me dance, and dancing with Tyler and Johnny, and the group surrounded with faces with Johnny T, Courtney, Katie, and Josh T's girlfriend Hannah. We grew tired of dancing, and I went to sit with Johnny on top of the picnic table. I laid my head on his shoulder and he placed his hand on my knee, and then I looked up. We locked eyes and we kissed. I jumped to go pee. I grabbed Katie, walked to the car, and asking her for things. And she told me I was too drunk. The Jesse situation was still fresh. So we walked to the car. I changed my pants. I walked back to see Johnny. I started to feel sick. Walked to a field next to the tent and proceeded to get sick. Johnny came and found me, and I was laying in the tall grass. He comforted me, and then we kissed. We started kissing more, and I noticed, and that's a good place to stop. It's me and Johnny's love story. I lost mine.